Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another Addicted Fishing podcast. Man, we are cranking these things out because we're trying to get some studio time in because we know come August, we ain't going to get much studio time.
No, it's going to be go time August.
We're going to be doing live fishing. We are sitting here like, I feel like it's like the eve of Buoy 10, but it's still like a week out.
Kind of feels like that, actually.
I feel like I still have time to get stuff done. Like, and there's plenty of stuff I need to do.
I got a lot. I know. I've been moving everything over. It's been like a week now.
That unfamiliar voice, familiar voice, is Mr. Bill Monroe Jr. He's joining us today. Got Eric Swanson in the house.
Yeah.
He didn't join us for the live feed, but last week we had Ryan Lothrop and Quentin Doherty from the WDFW in. We had a really great discussion on like what kind of goes into a run forecast and what. But we're going to break down another.
I thought that was fantastic, by the way.
It was really cool, those guys coming in. I got some really cool plans for them later.
Oregon, we don't quite have that yet. But we need to figure something out because
let's get Tucker in here.
Washington is going to totally support this. Tucker would probably be all over it.
Tucker, if you're listening, and if he's, which we know he's not, but if he's not, send it to him. Like we want to get you in here.
He's one of the easiest approachable dudes out there. So
like if he's well spoken, we need to get him, on here.
Oh, he's well spoken.
The more the anglers know what's going on, and the idea of the whole thing with them was to bring him in, put down some groundwork and get some basic foundation to where people kind of understand where forecasts and runs and stuff kind of come through, and then start how much really goes into it. They don't just pull these numbers out of their hoo-ha's and freaking figure it out. You know what I mean? They gotta
the formula behind it, right?
Right. There is actually a method to this, and there's a lot that these guys have to do in the background that they don't.
Well, the in-depth numbers crunching and studies, it was a lot,
dude.
All those different stocks,
it's intense.
All the catches and everything up and down the coast before they even get here, everything is taken into account on these ESA stocks.
Mixed stock fisheries are ultra hard to manage. I don't want their job. I hope you guys know that. I actually always commend them on every meeting we're in. Everything is dude, you guys are flipping amazing. Thank you.
It was really cool listening to
they don't always get it right. So I
was just saying not getting it right, but we talked a lot about the sockeye and how humble they were, and they were even making jokes if we knew better, our seasons would be our numbers they'd be closer.
Yeah, the numbers would be closer.
Maybe a little closer. And he was kind of laughing. I mean, because after all, it is. I mean, you're predicting fish coming back from the Great Pacific Ocean, right?
It's hard to predict.
But I want to get.
You want to talk about the weird fish in the room?
The what now?
Toolies.
Oh yeah, but I was going to say, and we
should probably discuss that.
Is the toolie conversation, and we touched on it a little bit because I didn't want to make, even though they're Columbia River managers, I didn't want to make the conversation Columbia River centric. And by the way, just real fast, if you guys don't watch our live feeds and don't check out our YouTube channel, well, shame on you. But if you go back to our YouTube channel, you can actually see the discussion we had with these guys from the WDFW. It should be there on the. If you just search WDFW discussion on their YouTube channel, Addicted Fishing, you'll be able to see it. But within that, they talked about toolies, and they talked about release mortality and why we have a hatchery only, one of the tools that they can use to. With a constraining stock fishery, they can kind of keep fisheries going. We're seeing this up and down the coast. Last week, we talked about the Marine Area 4 closure. And since we were in here just this week, we had a restriction in Marine Area 1 and a restriction in Marine Area 2 because we're catching too many Chinooks.
Yep.
So pretty crazy watching this season unfold and watching what's going on. And then I also know last week we talked about a little bit with Buoy 10 and kind of our thoughts and ideas going into it, where we have a colder Columbia River and they're going to move in and then maybe shoot up the river, and we weren't going to spend much time. And of course, then God said, we're going to give you guys some heat now.
Here's 100 degrees for 10 days.
Right. What's that going to do?
7 days. Yeah. Whatever. That's going to, what you were just talking about, this parking lot talk. A block, forming somewhere between Tongue Point and St. Helens. Yeah. I can totally see some tides not able to kind of make that water work. So what that means. Oh, better fishing in the estuary.
Right. We thought we were maybe going to have a river fishery early, but now the way it's shaping it, because we know from last June that a week of 100-degree weather will crank that temperature right up to 72, 73 overnight.
We had 116 last June. Remember that?
And it was hot.
It was miserable.
It was miserable.
Well, the fishing was pretty
good. But then it paid off. So,
but I've seen the Columbia come up 4 degrees in the last week. It's up to 67 now.
That's a
that's
a good
So
that's a good sign. Now, when we look at things that aren't a good sign, the later seasons when temperatures hit 70, 72 submatrices, we've got problems in survival.
Right.
We've got cold water riparian zones shut down. You know, they'll shut down the Sandy, the Washougal,
Cowlit,
the
probably.
Deschutes, the Klickitat. It all like could really suck if
it gets too hot.
it gets too hot.
I mean, and really what happens is those areas, guys, is they draw too many fish and the fishing gets too good. And the same thing that's happening in marine areas right now.
It'll get shut down.
If you catch too many of them and you start to put those numbers out of whack, they have to curtail the catch or else they have to shut everything down. So in Oregon, they have the cold water sanctuary things. But so going back to Thule's. So where the Thule conversation, guys, with buoy 10, that's our constraining stock this year.
Yep.
And what we were kind of thinking was last week was like, oh, good. You know, without the thermal barrier, the Thules tend to move through the buoy 10 fishery in the first 2 weeks.
Quickly, too.
And really, for those that don't know what a Thule is a Thule is a fall Chinook salmon, just as good as every other fall Chinook salmon out in the ocean. But the problem with the Thule, not the problem, but the difference with the Thule is that when it comes into the river, it's just closer to its spawning phase.
It deteriorates very quickly.
Yeah.
Right. Their fat in their body doesn't hold. It doesn't hold. They use it up very quickly. And that's why a Thule will kick your butt if you catch it, because they'll expend energy like crazy. Now, a Thule is a Canadian-based waters Chinook. It's a fall Chinook. And we have this agreement with Canada. It's called the USV Canada, right? That's an actual treaty that we have with them. The Canadians have every power to go in and absolutely destroy our spring Chinook stocks, right? Because our springers are coming through their waters,
right,
when they're returning to us, right?
Right.
Those we covet our springers.
Oh yeah.
So when those,
so it's like a mediation. Like we don't.
So
take the
Canada says, okay, we won't mess with your springers. You guarantee that you will survive a certain amount of Thule Chinook propagation. And that's where we come up with exploitation marks. Right. Some years it's 6%, some years it's 10%. This year it's 38%. And that's really difficult to work around.
Well, what it is like the Spring Creek hatchery. Like we've actually put hatcheries in and we actually supplement big numbers of these fish. But within that, there also is lower Columbia River wild strain Thule. And going back to like the meat difference and whatnot, like when they change physiologically, they are showing up into the river and spawning 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I don't care. I keep seeing all these pictures and everything from the east side. Like these fish cut great. These fish, I don't care what the color of the fish is.
Right.
I don't care if it's dark or red or
the best fish that you can get is a fish that is the furthest removed from its spawning time or spawning place.
Yes.
So like that's why summer steelhead are so much better than winter steelhead, because they all kind of spawn around the same time, but the summer show up 6 months earlier. Thules, when they're up in those Canadian waters, are fantastic fish.
They are amazing fish. They are
Yeah.
amazing. They eat amazing. They fight amazing. They cut amazing.
So people always want to put their nose up at Thules, but it's like, okay, you're putting it. The only reason why you're doing that is because it's almost like you're trying to catch a fish like on the spawning ground versus like out in the ocean. Is like kind of like with a Thule, because when they get here, they're just so close to spawning.
Yeah.
So that's where not the negativity, but where the difference really draws. Now our upriver brights and some of our other hatchery stocks up above, or some of our wild stocks up in the Snake, our wild stocks in Snake. Those fish still have hundreds of miles and maybe even a couple 2 to 3 months before they spawn. So that's why when we see them in the buoy 10 fishery, they're such a quality fish. They're that far removed from that, and they're actually called upriver brights not because the outside of the fish, but because the inside of the fish, the meat's good.
Correct. Yep.
But
true.
Thules get a bad name, but Thules, if we catch too many of them, and we kill too many of them, they shut our fishery down. And like I said, when they show up those first 2 weeks of August, if we whack on those too hard, when our brights and our upper river stocks start showing up about the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th week of August, if we don't have Chinook. Okay, remember all those little tiny constraining stocks that were within the whole run that they had to break down?
Yeah.
If one of those
LRH, BPH, there's upriver brights, there's lower river Thule. You have a ton of different fish.
Mid-river stocks.
This is that mixed stock fishery management I was just talking about.
I mean,
it's ridiculous. There's like 14.
Yeah, is it 14 stocks? Yeah. I was going to say, I'm like, I know it's got to be around a dozen, if not more.
The middle river holds like 5. The lower river holds 6 or 5.
So if we catch too many of a percentage of one of those stocks, they could potentially shut it down.
If it's a constraining stock.
Especially if it's an ESA stock.
That's right. There it is right there.
Even though we're catching all these hatcheries toolies, what happens is those hatchery toolies do represent a percentage of wild toolies that we are catching and releasing. And by catching and releasing a few, even though it's a hatchery only fishery at the start of the season,
it counts as a mortality.
Still apply a mortality. So let's break this down real quick. You have all these hatchery fish it's hatchery only fishing for the first 24 days. And this is why it's important to let them go when you can, even the hatchery fish.
Yes.
Because those hatchery fish, when they come in, let's say that they are understanding, well, I don't even know how to really explain it, but let's say you bring in let's say you bring a bunch of hatchery toolies in, and it's a ton of them. Those hatchery toolies represent, and then
not only does the hatchery toolies count as a mortality for each fish,
right? But the wilds,
it counts. That's right.
So within the sport surveying, and they also know that all you guys lie out there. So there is a number, but they do. They actually have a calculated number, and they have indicators.
They do have an actual.
They understand what the unclipped rate is. Now, every fish that gets released is not a wild toolie, too. So but out of all those unclipped stocks that are present in the river, then there's a percentage of those that are actually the true wild toolies. Well, those hatchery toolies that you're bringing in to the marina are representing those wild fish, and inadvertently representing that 1 out of every 5 of those constrained stocks that we're actually killing. That's why the fishery is hatchery only, because if it was 100% mortality, basically right now, if you don't kill wild toolies, for every wild toolie you catch, or actually for every 5 you catch, 1 die. Yeah. If it's a wild toolie fishery, or if it's a wild fishery and you bring one in, well, that's 100% of them are dying.
That's
so you get this buffer against those wild toolies, and that's now what the season. What happened last year was they made it hatchery only till the 10th, and it wasn't long enough. And so when we went in on the 11th to start bonking wilds, well, a whole bunch of them freaking wild toolies showed up.
Yep.
And then it actually limited the fishery, because the fishery was supposed to go to Labor Day, because that's how they try to. They always try to manage the buoy 10 fishery.
We got till August 27th.
Yep. And they shut it down a week early again. So this year now it's the 24th. They ain't playing around.
Yeah.
The states have came in and they said, well, we're not doing that again.
No, and I'm glad they're not, because
I am too, actually, because actually this is actually going to help us get through what we have actually planned. We're going to get through the end of Labor Day.
Mm-hmm. What happened last year is they shut down buoy 10. Well, everyone bumped up to the next section, because that's what we do.
And smacked them in the mouth, the cowlets.
And then that whole ball of toolies we were beating on down at buoy 10 just moved up, and then we had a huge effort shift. And that effort shift is very unpredictable, but it absolutely is detrimental to how many fish you're trying to avoid catching when you put the whole fleet.
And they shut us down. They shut us down early up there too. So we had to go
early up there.
Up to Bonneville and then back to home.
And then they shut us down up there too.
Yes, remember that?
That's right.
What a nightmare trying to organize trips.
So it sends a ripple effect up the river.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking, you guys are going to see tons of toolie talk in the discussions and in what we're talking about. And the bottom line is that if you're at buoy 10, and this is what I tell my clients, I don't really have a problem with you killing hatchery toolies. Fishing's tough. It's a hatchery fish. It's a legal fish to kill. It really is. But if you're down there, and you're down there for a few days, and fishing's great, which I'm hoping it's going to be with what's going on
with what the ocean's showing us.
Freaking phenomenal. So, fishing's great, and you're seeing fish caught. Just be selective. If you catch a fish that's a little bit darker, a little more brown on the outside, he doesn't
heavy spotting,
mint ocean,
short tail,
right, beak jaw,
leopard print,
very print on its back.
Prints.
Yeah, or a big old hook jaw, very pronounced lower teeth.
Yeah.
Have
very,
fun
very,
with it.
Very prominent.
Have fun with it. Catch it, but if you
go.
have the option, let's just, we've tried for years. Bill and I have screamed, Eric too, we've all screamed about it till we're blue in the face, especially on the wilds. I draw the line on the wilds, when it's wild season, if a kayak.
LRW is one thing, but
I don't care. That fish has to go.
LRW is a protector, but LRH is now coming into effect, which is lower river hatchery. That is just one of those things. We just gotta curtail. We gotta curtail it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have the option to, be selective. But one thing with this year, it's kind of funny. We're going to tell you all to be selective, but I guarantee you, like the BPH number, like the spring creeker number, is huge this year.
Big. Their numbers were actually
so we're going to see a lot of hatchery fish in the fishery. But you know, be selective, be smart, and then when it goes to wild only, just if you're fishing, all you guys, I'm going to call you out. All you guys up at the mouth of the Cowlitz, y'all screwed it up for us last year. You all did. There was more wild tag recoveries out of Section 7 out of the Cowlitz. Yep. All you Rainier boys. I'm just teasing. Actually, I'm not.
Just kidding. That was the actual thing, though.
We really have to be selective in the Middle River because that's what's going to hurt us because that fishery is actually open for wild Chinook all the way up. So we really... I almost want to have a dick that sponsor some signs at the ramps or something about it this year. I don't know, but
you're not stopping any of those freaking bad
yeah. So, but
that's a big one.
Right,
killing it.
I don't even think they follow bag limits, let alone if it's a dually or not.
Throw that one under the seat.
Half those boys.
Yeah, they're not getting checked, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
we'll keep it that way, boys. Just kidding. Don't do that. Let's try to be a little more selective this year. You're going to hear us talk a lot about it.
Something to think about. Because I think, just like the marine areas, there's going to be a ton of fish this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So go easy. Go easy on
shaping up to be that way.
But enjoy it.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you guys real fast, if this is still July and you guys have heard this podcast, don't forget every dollar you spend on our addictive.fishing website enters you into a contest for 10 great giveaways, con coolers, gift certificates, packages, prize packages from our manufacturers. So be sure to check that out.
That's pretty legit.
I'm hoping Clint has this out in July, and if not, well then just wait for the next drop. You'll have to do it then. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next.
Cool.
Later.